The world and the prophecies of God are about to meet. The biblical end time is right around the corner. And the world is being set up for Satan's Antichrist. The Western world is being destroyed from the inside on 3 fronts. Illegal immigration, economic collapse, and division through racism. World War III, likely the Sixth Trumpet, is coming. The Russia-Ukraine war could become a war with Europe and the USA, which will then likely escalate China, North Korea and Iran. An army of 200 million is prophesied in the Sixth Trumpet, and China has 200 million men of military age. This war that Satan is engineering will weaken the Western world even more. This is a perfect scenario for Satan. He's getting the Western world to fight wars and provoking China to invade Taiwan, and getting Iran to hate Israel so much that they'll throw a nuke at them. Also he can destroy the West and Asia and bring his loyal worshippers, Islam, to the forefront and take over the world through his Antichrist. Islam awaits the coming of the Mahdi with universal anticipation. The false prophecies that the devil set up has them waiting for their Messiah, the man who will conquer the world for Islam. This man will be the Antichrist of the Bible. Everything going on in the Western world is all orchestrated by Satan's secret society. This is the they that have colluded around the world as we've seen in the last 3 years. Satan's lies will fool the entire world. It will be the power and signs and lying wonders of Satan that conquers the world, and already is. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 9 Even him, whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Satan has the whole world sitting on the edge of their seats, awaiting the false prophecies that he will use to fool them when the real prophecies of the Bible come to pass. Jews are awaiting the Moshiach and the rebuilding of the temple. The Moshiach might rebuild the temple, but the Antichrist will destroy it all when he takes over and claims to be God. Muslims are awaiting their Mahdi, Muslim Jesus, and the Caliphate. The Antichrist and false prophet of the Bible will be their Mahdi and Muslim Jesus. Deceived Christians are awaiting a rapture that comes first and will be caught with their proverbial pants down. They won't believe it's the Antichrist because it can't be, because they believe they won't be here when that happens, even though the Bible shows otherwise. Catholics are awaiting their great monarch and the final glorious pope. The Antichrist and false prophet will be this great monarch and the final glorious pope. Satan is setting up the world for an alien invasion. This will be his answer to the fifth trumpet, when an alien-like creature will torment men for 5 months. Satan has already fooled billions of people with his lies about evolution. Even some professing Christians subscribe to this lie. The false prophet will pull fire right out of thin air and deceive the world into thinking he's from God, but it will be the power of Satan that he uses to do these things. Revelation chapter 13 verse 13 And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. God has told us that there will be a peace treaty set up for a 7-year period in the end time and that this is when the Antichrist will take over the world. Satan has also set up his false prophecies in Islam where there will be a peace treaty set up by their Mahdi and will be specifically with a Levite Jew, along with the rest of the world. Israel will rebuild the temple and begin animal sacrifices since they do not believe in Jesus and think they have to resume the law of Moses. The Antichrist will then stand up, Daniel chapter 8 verse 23 And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance, and understanding dark sentences, shall stand up. About 8 months after the confirmation of the covenant the Antichrist will stand up, and begin gaining the power he needs to take over the world. The Antichrist will create a union of 10 Islamic nations, the 10-horned beast of Daniel 7, and will present himself as the Mahdi of Islam. This is almost certain given the prophecies and the way Satan has set it up. And then he will align that 10-nation union with the other 3 kings of Daniel 7 and create his military and political power base to take over the world. We see that the kings, nations of Daniel 7 become one under the Antichrist in Revelation chapter 13, and that the false prophet will team up with him, and ride on the power of this union. Then, in the middle of the final 7 years, the Antichrist will sit in the temple and claim to be God and will take over the world. This is what will be in power when Jesus returns. A union of the Holy Roman Empire and the Islamic empires, through the union of Catholicism, the EU, and Islam, the Arab League today. This is shown to us in Daniel 2. The West will unite with the East. The feet and toes of the 5th section of the statue in Daniel 2, which represent successive kingdoms from Nebuchadnezzar to the end time. Satan has set up the world for this and is working on weakening the Western nations as shown previously, and will gain the power to take over with his alliances, and will use the Antichrist and false prophet to rule the world through them. Then Christ returns in the clouds of heaven with power and glory and takes those who love him out of the world, and then pours out his wrath upon the children of disobedience. The Battle of Armageddon takes place with Jesus finishing his descent and wiping out the armies with a word. Then he takes over the world for 1,000 years with Satan bound in the abyss. After that, new heavens and a new earth. No more pain, no more sorrow, no more death. We live with him forever in literal bliss. Those that love God need not fear. The end is nigh, but only those who do not love Jesus will suffer his wrath. For more information, visit BibleProphecyandTruth.com. Click the link in the description.